Ladies and gentlemen, you hear it in the song Off the Dome. Here we are. Welcome to the Off the Dome Sports Podcast, your favorite sports podcast where two sports lovers give their hot takes off the dome. Quick shout out to Ezzy for that intro song. It's called Off the Dome. Pretty well named, if you ask me. Make sure to give Ezzy a listen on Spotify. That's E-Z-Z-I, Ezzy. Off the Dome is the song. If you're listening to us right now on newrockradio.us, we really appreciate you. Make sure to turn in to newrockradio.us 24/7. You're going to hear the best and your favorite rock music. Also turn into newcountryradio.us, playing some country music. I love country music. If you don't, just give it a listen anyway. You'll probably find something you like. If you're just listening in, you can also be watching us. You can watch us live on Radio House Studios, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch accounts. We appreciate you if you're watching live, saying hi to the camera. We also want to thank Sean Brignac with Brignac Mortgage. He's the president and CEO, and he'll assist you in all your residential investment and commercial properties. Check out Sean on YouTube at Sean Brignac, or check out his website, www.brignacmortgage.com. Thank you again to Sean Brignac and Brignac Mortgage for supporting the Off the Dome Sports Podcast, as well as New Rock Radio. If you're looking to sponsor the Off the Dome Sports Podcast, just go ahead, shoot us an email at studio@newrockradio.us, or hit us up through the Facebook page, newrockradio.us. Speaking about Sean Brignac, he is the sponsor of a guy I know we've had on here before, and a guy who has something big coming up this weekend. Gage Gill is fighting on November 19th in Biloxi, so make sure to check that out.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'm sure, with the amount of people that back him, it's going to be a good turnout in Biloxi. Usually is.
Yeah, and you can also watch it live. If you want to check out Gage Gill, just go on Facebook. His name is Gage Gill. You'll recognize him by his profile picture. He's jacked. It's a picture of him.
It'll also be on Empire Fighting Championships Facebook page. They go live for every event. They should be releasing a card here in the next few days to tell you like what's the order of the fights. So that way, if you if you're kind of busy, have stuff to do, and just want to watch Gage, you can know about when his fight will start.
Yeah, make sure to check out Gage. Make sure to check out Empire Fighting, and November 19th. Make sure to check that out. Let's get into what we saw this past weekend.
The good and the bad.
The good and the bad. A lot less good,
yeah,
I would say. LSU won.
I mean, it was good for like my pockets.
Yeah, sure.
My bets hit.
Yeah, but as far as watching football goes,
yeah,
wasn't great. LSU won, but it was way too close for comfort. Only a 3-point win over an Arkansas team that isn't that great.
No,
it wasn't a fun game to watch.
They have their starting quarterback.
No,
which worries me.
And then they took their backup out after the first quarter. Their third string was the one who was kind of giving us trouble, which concerns me. But, the defense played well. Held them to only 10 points.
Thank God.
Because our offense was not rolling. Jaden Daniels had an off day. I don't know what it was. Might have been that hangover from that Bama game.
Still celebrating a week later.
Yeah, but...
I mean, I was.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
Still am, to this day. But, yeah, it was really cold outside. Them Louisiana boys, not ready for that.
No.
It was like, I think they said it was like 38 degrees at time of kickoff.
Yeah, it was like snowing. Like
they were shoveling snow off the field at like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And the game started at 11. So, kind of rough for Louisiana kids to get ready for that kind of weather. It was funny because on the broadcast they showed that LSU had requested 3 thermoses for the sideline. One had chicken broth, one had hot chocolate, one had coffee. So the players could get some heat in them while they were playing, kind of avoid the freezing of their bodies that you would experience when you go from 75 and sunny to 40 degrees and shivering. But yeah, Jaden Daniels had an off day. A little over 50% as far as completion percentage goes, less than 100 yards and only 1 touchdown. Was not what we wanted to see from him.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of leans on the offensive line who had a really bad day, and it's not like it's disappointing because they're very young.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of freshmen starting.
Yep, 2 true freshmen starting tackles. That's not something you see in college football.
But the thing is, they let us down because they've been playing great so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was the first really bad game I've seen from them.
Yeah, the offensive line just, for whatever reason, wasn't clicking. I know Garrett Dellinger came back after missing a couple games, our starting center. I guess that threw off the chemistry a little bit maybe, but Jaden Daniels still had gotten sacked 7 times. There's no reason for him to get sacked 7 times, especially when he's athletic. When he's as athletic as he is, whether he should be able to escape the pocket and run, that's one thing. But the offensive line can't allow that to happen, especially coming off a game where you just beat a top 10 team in the country. You can't afford to be looking like that against top 50, 60 team. Like it was not fun to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Josh Williams, the running back, was basically our only offense. He had 19 carries for 122 yards and a touchdown. He looked great. He has all year. I think Josh Williams is one of the most underrated players in our offense. I think he's one of the most underrated backs we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
We've had special guys like Clyde recently. We had guys like Leonard Fournette, Jeremy Hill, and if you look at Josh Williams and how he's playing, I mean, statistically, he doesn't pop off the charts, but if you watch him actually play, like the eye test, he passes the eye test on every level.
Yeah. He's one of those electric backs we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Josh Williams, and he doesn't get the love that he deserves, in my opinion. So I would just like to admit that
and we have a few that are.
Yeah, no, Armani Goodwin's very good. John Emery had 3 carries for 40 yards. So, he's really good, and he's a really good pass catcher as well. I really like what John Emery brings in the pass catching game.
He's strong, like sneaky strong too.
Yeah.
He's a little guy, but
yeah, I mean he's got his academics under control now. From what we see, that was kind of always been his problem with college, is he hasn't been able to keep his grades in check, so he hasn't been able to get on the field. But I think the new regime has kind of helped that. Brian Kelly, as much as I've hated on him, does a very good job of enforcing that academic role of a student athlete.
Yeah.
Because, when you're a student athlete, you're a student first. You're not an athlete student. So, the LSU's whole slogan this year has been graduate champions. And the way they say that is because they want students to actually graduate and get a degree, and they want them to be champions when they do it. So, I kind of like that LSU's kind of enforcing that academic role for our football team. Being a student at LSU kind of means a little bit more to me.
Makes him more of a person than just a football player.
Yeah, absolutely. And, speaking to being more than just a football player, it looks like our team is actually, they enjoy each other.
Yeah.
Like, they look like they actually love each other. They're playing for each other. They're not just playing for, they're not just playing to just play football. Yeah. They're playing because they want to be together. They have that chemistry. It looks great. The defense is really showing that right now. The defense is all over the place. They're looking fantastic. They did really, really well. Once Arkansas got into a good position, they didn't let them get better. There was many times in that game that Arkansas could have scored, and LSU held them.
Yeah,
and it was really impressive to watch. They had 5 total sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. But Harold Perkins, Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
Oh my. Like I just said, they had 5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, and 2 forced fumbles. Of all those stats, Harold Perkins had 4 of the sacks, 4 of the tackles for loss, and both of the forced fumbles. He had one of the greatest games I've ever seen from a defensive player in college football.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And it's great to see him wearing purple and gold.
That's I'm so happy. I've always loved Harold Perkins ever since he was in high school, because I was working for the football team, and they had me like doing a little bit of scouting work on him or whatever, and I was like, man, this guy's really good. And he played linebacker / running back in high school. He went to Cypress Park, Texas. He originally committed to Texas A&M. And
did you talk him out of it?
No.
You paid him a visit.
This was after I stopped doing that. But I went look back at my tweets, and I went look back at every time I've mentioned Harold Perkins, and there was 3 times. The first time was when he committed to Texas A&M, and I said, "Oh, that really sucks. If this guy wore purple and gold, he'd be really freaking good." The next tweet was when he decommitted from Texas A&M and flipped to LSU. And I said, LSU just got a top 10 pick in the next 3 years. And the third tweet was a couple games ago when he was playing like this. And I said, no doubt in my mind, Harold Perkins is going to be a top 5 player in LSU defensive history. And it's, he's a true freshman. So you can't, projecting these kinds of things is crazy. But this past game, he showed who he really is, and he is absolutely phenomenal.
So a lot of people are saying that he should be in the running for Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, because
we haven't seen a defensive player in the running since what, Manti Te'o?
Yeah, I mean, well, Will Anderson is in the running right now for Alabama.
Yeah.
And he was kind of in the running last year too. But like seriously contention, I mean, we haven't seen that since like Honey Badger, really. But Harold Perkins is so special. He reminds me of like an even more versatile Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
Like Micah Parsons in the NFL, Dallas Cowboys linebacker, for those of you who don't know, who came out of Penn State a couple years ago. He plays all over the field, edge rusher, stand-up linebacker. Mike plays in the slot as a corner, and that's what Harold Perkins is doing right now. Like, he even had a pass breakup on man coverage on the outside on a wide receiver, and he is a linebacker. So it's just really special what we're seeing from Harold Perkins right now. I'm really enjoying watching him play is so impressive. So yeah, shout out to Harold Perkins. Shout out to that defense. Special teams did their job. We saw a lot in the beginning of the season. Special teams was killing us, but they finally got it together. They looked pretty good on Saturday. They didn't cause any trouble. So whenever you don't have anything bad to say about your special teams, that's probably a good thing. Next up for LSU football, they've got UAB on Saturday at 8 p.m. If we don't smoke UAB, like we should Southern them.
Yes.
We should. We should absolutely do what we did to Southern, to UAB. Because just a couple years ago, UAB didn't even have a football team. Like they're a newer football program within the past 5 years. And, LSU beat Bama. They beat Ole Miss. I mean, they control their own destiny at this point.
Yeah.
They're going to the SEC championship. Them winning, combined with an Alabama win on Saturday, they're already in Atlanta.
Yep.
They could lose their last 2 games, and they will still make the SEC championship this season. And not only that, but if they somehow beat UAB, beat Texas A&M, and then go into Atlanta and play Georgia, and beat Georgia,
it's tough, but I could see that Tigers defense holding up.
Yeah.
That offense.
Like, I don't know. Has Georgia played a defense as good as LSU's yet? Because LSU's defense is playing otherworldly right now. It's crazy. And I don't know if Georgia has faced a challenge like LSU. They played Tennessee.
They did beat the wheels off of Tennessee.
They did beat the wheels off of Tennessee, but,
like looking at the score, it was only 27-13, but I think it was 27-3 at one point.
Yeah, Tennessee never really had a shot in that game after the first quarter. But I didn't mean it from a defensive perspective. I meant offensively. I don't know if they've played a defense as good as LSU's because Tennessee's defense gave up 49 points to Alabama.
Yeah.
It's not like Tennessee's defense is great. Their offense is what wins them games. LSU's kind of the flip-flop of that right now.
Yeah.
Our offense has played well, but they haven't been winning us games. It's been our defense that's really showed out.
Yeah, our defense held Alabama to
31, but
I was talking about the first half.
The first half was 9 points.
Yeah.
They played really, really well in the first half. I think the second half, the only reason they even allowed that many points is because the offense kind of started sputtering a little bit, and they were on the field a lot. But yeah, we should beat the brakes off of UAB, and then we play Texas A&M at Texas A&M, and we should beat them because they are dumpster fire right now.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
So let's knock on wood and say we're 10-2 going into Atlanta to face Georgia.
Into the trap game like we almost did against Arkansas.
Yeah, exactly. I think that woke us up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, us seeing, hey, oh my gosh, we almost just lost to Arkansas after beating Alabama. We can't.
Yeah.
Time to lock in. They should come out hot and firing. So if we go into Atlanta 10-2 and somehow defeat the reigning, defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs, who everyone is expecting to win the national championship this year, I think we make the college football playoff. Which is crazy to think that in Brian Kelly's first year with a ragtag group of Tigers, he would make the national championship. So I have to give him his props.
Yeah, if we go in and beat Georgia, I don't see how they couldn't put LSU in the college football playoffs. Yeah, there's always a way. They always find a way.
We would be the first 2-loss team to ever make the playoffs. But
this is why I still think it needs to be
It's getting expanded in 2024. I think 12 teams. So
it's a big step up.
If there's ever a year where LSU doesn't make a 12-team playoff, I'm going to be very upset. But, you know, they control their own destiny right now.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see if the LSU Tigers can make a run and somehow make it to the college football playoff. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible.
Correct.
You know what is impossible? The Saints making me happy.
Oh, I was going to... We'll get to that in a second. In other
news,
unfortunate college football news, Tulane lost.
They did lose to UCF.
UCF 38-31, close game. They had a real shot at the end. They started coming back.
It was a good game. I watched the fourth quarter. It was pretty good.
Yeah, fourth quarter is when they kind of tried to kick it into gear, but it was just too little, too late.
Yeah,
couldn't make the comeback. They dropped all the way to ranked 21.
Hey, still top 25 team.
Still top 25. They got 2 games left. They play SMU on Thursday.
Oh.
And then Cincinnati the day after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So they could finish 10-2.
I hope they win out. I mean, I have no problem with Tulane winning. Yeah. I would love Tulane to win. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, if they win out, they still get a pretty decent bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, they could still, you know, instead if they win those last 2 games, I think they could still win their conference. So, I mean, they could still get in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Which would be a great game for Tulane.
Much better than their usual RL Carriers Bowl.
And sometimes they don't even make bowl games. I mean, it's been a long time since Tulane's been this good. So I'm happy for them and happy for anybody out there who's a Tulane fan.
Tulane fans got to be excited.
Oh, yeah,
especially
gotta be.
Jamie Luke.
Shout out, Jamie.
What else? TCU
beat Texas.
Undefeated.
That was awesome. I was hyping up TCU for a while because when Alabama was ranked over TCU and they had just lost to Tennessee, I was like, TCU deserves to be higher. And everybody's like, that doesn't make any sense. TCU hasn't played anybody. I was like, TCU's a better team. They're undefeated. And now they just beat Texas, and they proved it. I mean, TCU deserves to be in the college football playoff if it started today.
They've been putting up big points all season. And I get at a certain point, putting up points like LSU playing Southern, but these teams aren't bad that they're playing.
They put up points against teams like Oklahoma.
Yeah, they put up 55 on Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean they've played decent teams. It's not like they're playing absolute scrubs. And my favorite part about what TCU did this past weekend is they played Texas in a defensive matchup. TCU has a top 5 offense in literally every single statistic this season in college football. And they won 17-10. They did not need to score more than 20 points to win a game. So that really showed their versatility. I have no allegiance to TCU whatsoever, but it's a team that I enjoy.
Yeah,
I really like them this year.
My shift lead at work actually does have a connection to TCU. His brother-in-law is the athletic director over there.
And you haven't given me his phone number. Why? This is messed up.
I don't have it.
This is messed up. Fake friends.
But he goes to the bowl games and stuff. Like his brother-in-law hooks him up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's hoping for a nice little run from TCU this year. I mean, of course, he's an LSU fan first, but when in doubt, why not back a team that's that good?
So they've got Georgia at 1, Ohio State at 2, Michigan at 3, TCU at 4, Tennessee's at 5, LSU moved up to 6. So 3 SEC teams in the top 6.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then
it just means more.
Yeah. At 7 is USC, who's having another great year.
Mm-hmm.
8 is Alabama, 9 Clemson, and 10 Utah.
I was really hoping Ole Miss would pull that game out against Bama.
I kind of was
even though it won us the SEC West with Bama winning, I just like Bama losing. Just makes me happy.
I mean, me too. But looking forward on TCU. They play Baylor, big rivalry this Saturday at 11.
That's on Big Noon Kickoff. That's going to be the Big Noon Kickoff game for Fox.
Then the following week they play Iowa State.
Okay.
And then they have December 3rd, TBD.
I guess that's the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
So only 2 games left, and they could easily run the table. So we could see a top 4 where all 4 teams are undefeated. Going into the college. Oh, not true.
No,
Ohio State and Michigan play.
And Michigan have to play. They play the 26th.
That's going to be such a good game. I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a really good game, Ohio State and Michigan. College football is fun this year.
Yeah.
Because, Georgia's dominant. They are. But outside of the number 1 team, you have no idea where anybody else is going to land. because you see Ohio State play close games with Northwestern, who was 1-8.
Yeah.
They only win 21-7 in a very sloppy game. And you see, Michigan doesn't always dominate their opponent. They started off slow against Nebraska, and they were only up like 14 to. I think they were only up 14-3, and like late in the second quarter, which is like crazy.
I mean, we've seen Georgia struggle too. Like, I think it was week 4, they played Kentucky State, and Kentucky State put up 22 points on them.
And then
the following week they played Missouri and only won by 4.
Yeah, they won in a fourth quarter like buzzer beater type play. Like it was, we've seen Georgia be weak. I mean, I think every team has their weakness this year. There's no 2019 LSU Tigers out there. That team, that team dominated everybody.
Ours this year was definitely Florida State when we were trying to get things rolling.
If we could have beat that Florida State team, I think
we'd be 9-1.
We'd be 9-1. I mean, we'd probably still be ranked at 6. That probably wouldn't change much because we'd still be under Tennessee because we had the loss to them. But if we beat Florida State, people are looking at us a lot different. Moving on from college football into the NFL, like I said, the Saints, man, it's hard to talk about them at this point. Like, what's exciting about it? Is there anything that makes you happy about the Saints right now?
Well, no, because we don't have a first-round pick.
Exactly. Like, there's nothing to look forward to.
I mean, I could see, there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out of college this year. And if it goes anything like last year's draft, I could see us picking up a pretty decent one later.
Yeah, I mean, if they start falling, sure. But the problem is I think the quarterbacks this year are better.
Much better.
So they're going to go higher. Like last year, the first one didn't go until, Kenny Pickett went in the first round, but after that, Malik Willis in the third.
Very, very late in the first round, too.
Yeah, so, I mean, we could see the same thing this year, or there could be a lot more hungry teams at the top, and, 4 of them go in the top 20 picks, and then you're kind of left with the scraps.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But, yeah, we played a Steelers team who's not good either. It's not like the Steelers are a fantastic team that we lost to.
Yeah, no, they got T.J. Watt back, and we felt it.
Yeah, T.J. Watt played an absolute phenomenal game for the Steelers. He's so good. We were talking on the last episode about what T.J. Watt are we going to see. Is he going to start off slow and kind of have to recover, or is he going to come out and be the T.J. Watt we know? And he didn't skip a beat.
No.
That injury didn't change him at all. He affected every single play. So we lost 20-10. I thought we were going to win 20-10, so funny how that works. But yeah, we lose the game. We had basically no bright points. I mean, I don't know what to say about the team anymore. Like I'm so heartbroken right now.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
And I'm not one to make excuses because we did lose the game. But I do think the outcome would be a little different. I'm not saying we would have won, but I think we would have lost by less. There were a few questionable calls. The Saints got penalized a lot.
Yeah, no, there was. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the penalties and yardage ended at. If there's anybody in the chat that can look it up, I don't know. But I know we ended. We at one point we had 9 penalties for 92 yards, and the Steelers only had like 6 penalties for like 40 yards. Like it's gonna affect us, and not only that, but we had 2 in the red zone. One was in the end zone. They had a PI call that was pretty bad on a Debo. Yeah. I mean, it looked like Freiermuth initiated contact, pushed off, and then when he went to catch the ball, they called PI on a Debo. It's just, and I don't want to blame refs because whether the refs made bad calls or not, we didn't deserve to win that game. Like we just played bad. Yeah. We didn't play good, and I think there's 3 big issues for the team right now. Number 1 is the coaching, though.
Yeah.
Like we can say all we want about the players. The coaching is terrible.
Yeah. I've said it before, and it kind of kicked us into gear. So I'll hopefully try and do it again. But call more screens.
Yeah,
it works.
Get the ball in Kamara's hand. It's not that hard. He's the best player on your team, and he had 8 rushes and 2 receptions. There's no reason he has 10 opportunities in a game. Makes no sense.
It bothers me because, we were used to Sean Payton. Every other play is a screen. And we're like, all right, we get it.
Yeah. Way too many screens.
Yeah.
And
now we get 1 a game.
We took the entire. He probably had a screen playbook. Like, 9 pages thick of just like, this is every screen I want to run. And Pete Carmichael lit it on fire and tossed it out the building because he doesn't. I don't like the play calling is weird. We have no discipline. The situations are weird. Like time management, like everything that comes down to coaching just doesn't make sense at this point. And Dennis Allen, when he was the head coach of the Raiders, they gave him 2 seasons. He went 4-12 in both. They gave him he started the 3rd season 0-4, and then they kicked him out. So what did we really expect out of him becoming a head coach now?
Yeah, I think I like giving him the opportunity. I wasn't like, oh, it's a terrible decision.
No, I wasn't like super mad about it, but
I think that if you're good at what you do, in his case being a defensive coordinator, stay doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we've seen a lot of instances like this. For example, Nick Saban coming to the NFL didn't work out.
Nope.
Went back to coaching college.
And he's the best college football coach of all time.
Exactly.
Like I feel like in sports there are certain things you are meant to do, and just because you're good at those doesn't mean you're going to be good at something else.
Exactly. You're not going to make a running back who's really good at his job go play defense.
No, and yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not going to have Derrick Henry turn into some receiving back who's catching a bunch of screens and is relying on speed zones. Like, he is a power guy. You hand him the ball on a halfback dive, and he will run up for 8 yards and kill 6 people on the way. Like,
anyone named Jordan Poyer.
Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. I feel like Dennis Allen's trying to do all this fancy stuff. Like, you are a defensive guy, and our defense looks so undisciplined. Like, we can't tackle.
Yeah.
Our team is so bad that we forgot how to tackle somehow. And that's like the most fundamental thing you do in football.
Yeah, the only people who I see consistently, making form tackles and not just trying to, hit them with their shoulder and hope they fall down after, Demario Davis and Pete Werner.
And one of those was out this past game, and we saw it. It's weird to say that a guy like Pete Werner, a guy we drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round of Ohio State, just kind of a small, sneaky athletic linebacker, not a guy you would expect to really make a huge difference, but
he has.
He's been one of the best players on our defense this year, and we didn't have him this past game, and we could tell. I hate being all Debbie Downer on the Saints right now, but what am I supposed to say?
I mean, and it's not like to, put down the defense anyway, because Caden Ellis played a really good game.
Yeah, Caden Ellis came out of nowhere, and he was rushing the passer. I know he got a sack. He was playing over the middle, trying to stop the run a little bit. But
I'm just saying we were missing that presence, over the middle of the field,
because
they had a lot of plays where he would have been there,
yeah,
to be the one to make the tackle. Like they had a lot of shallow crosses come across the middle, which he's great at covering.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of slants for like 5 or 6 yards, which he's always there to break up.
Those outside zone runs that Najee Harris was taking, 10, 12 yards. I mean, Pete Werner and Demario Davis combined, usually, whichever one gets there, usually stop those at 4 to 5 yards.
Yeah.
But like, hinting at what we've been discussing with Pete Werner, I said there was 3 major issues. The first was coaching. The second one is injuries. I mean, next man up, of course. When Beerman was on, he said it. He was like,
he brought it up a lot.
He did. It's next man up. You're all NFL players, which is true. We're just not seeing it right now. We don't have a next man up. When somebody goes down, nobody steps up.
We're running thin.
We are running very thin right now. I mean, injuries are just destroying us. With Michael Thomas out, Jarvis Landry was out for a long time. Marcus Davenport was out this past game. Pete Werner was out this past game. Marshawn Lattimore, I don't know where he's been. I mean, we haven't even really heard much. They said, he has an abdomen injury, and he hasn't practiced in weeks. We don't even know what's going on. I mean, injuries are absolutely killing us right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it. I think I remember you seeing that you liked the same tweet as me, but they had a video of Jabari Greer opening a package from the Saints.
That was awesome. That was a fantastic video.
And it said, like, needing your service again or something like that, and he thought that they were inviting him to come back and play for the Saints, being they were running so thin in the DB position. But they just meant it was like a
celebrity
softball game.
And they had the little narration at the end, and they were like, Jabari, in fact, found out that it was a celebrity softball game that he was being invited to. And once he discovered the ticket prices of a one-day flight from New Orleans to Pittsburgh, he knew he couldn't afford it anyway. But yeah, that was a little humor from Jabari Greer, former Saint, won the Super Bowl with us. Wish he could come back because we need somebody. I mean, Alontae Taylor, he plays good, but he got banged up in the game. He's getting penalties. Same thing with Adebo. He's good, but it's hard to go from having an all-pro corner in there and you being able to rely on him to cover that one-on-one best guy on the team to you being thrust into that role immediately and not really being prepared for it. So injuries are kind of that, that second reason why I think we're losing a lot of games. And then the third reason, most important position in football, the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, we do agree on
we disagree
a lot
on
of things.
Yeah, we disagree on who should be quarterback right now. We definitely do.
We disagree on very little, but this is probably
because you want to stick with Andy Dalton.
I do,
and I think we should get Jameis back in there.
I think if he can prove himself,
but he can't prove himself if you don't give him a shot.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like put him back in. Like honestly, I think we should have played him in the second half of the Steelers game, and I don't know why we're not even trying.
Yeah,
he's been healthy for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
I understood having Andy in there while Jameis was hurt. Yes, don't rush. Jameis should have been taken out before he was even taken out. I wanted Andy in there, and I know that sounds hypocritical from where I'm at now, but it was because of health. It was because Jameis had fractures in his back and shouldn't have been playing football. And not only is that on the Saints, but that's on him.
Yeah,
his ego didn't want him to take himself out of the game.
You got to know your limit.
So putting Andy in there, I was like, yes, please put in Andy. He's healthy. And if he helps us to win, let's keep him in. We've only won 3 games this year. It's not like we're this great team.
Yeah.
So now that Jameis is back and healthy and looks like he could lead us somewhere, we might as well try.
And I could see him probably starting a game in the next few games. Who do we play coming up? Let me pull up the schedule.
We play the Rams next on Sunday,
Rams,
who are going to be without Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp.
He is having ankle surgery.
Offense.
Yeah. And Matthew Stafford was out this past game. Excuse me. So he might be out again. So if you're going against a Rams team that has no quarterback and doesn't have the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in football,
and is not having a good season,
and they're just as bad as us. We have the same record. I mean,
give them a shot.
Give them a shot, And if we listen, I think either way, if we start one of them and they're not doing good, you can put the other one in.
Yeah, because it's kind of like hand in hand when it comes to those two, because you have polar opposites.
Very much polar opposites.
Jameis. He's young. He's dumb.
He's not even young at this point. He just acts like he's young. He's just a chuck it and see.
Yeah, he pump fakes 10 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Dude, he pump fakes when he already has a first down. It's a hilarious move. Jameis's personality is great. Just wish his football play matched it.
His decision making is really what gets me, because I've seen him make some really good throws. I know he can make the throws.
He's got the talent for sure.
It's just all up here for him.
Yeah.
He needs to know, probably shouldn't throw this ball. Maybe I could check this one down.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't like about him at the beginning of this year, because he would never check down.
He wanted way too many shots down the field. And that's always been his thing. So, I can't blame you for saying that. But Andy, he's had his games where he's looked good. There was some games I came on here and I was like, man, Andy Dalton's good, man.
Yeah, we were calling him Andog for a reason.
Yeah, Andog Dogton. There was a reason we thought he was good. But the past 3 games, he has shown me nothing. He threw three picks, and whether the picks are his fault or not, because I know somehow he always get these picks that bounce off of receivers' heads,
crazy,
and crazy stuff.
Very unlucky, but still
very unlucky. But
a turnover.
Still, you're throwing him in a situation where that could happen. So whether they're his fault or not, it's still a turnover. So
that's fair.
It affects the game the same way, whether it was an accident or not.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
It affects the game the same way. So, I really do think we should be putting Jameis back in. I'm pretty hard set on that. But we can both agree on one thing, that neither of these quarterbacks are the quarterback of the future.
I wouldn't want either of them.
Like, I don't want either of them to be the starter next year. One of them's going to be probably, but I don't want either one of them.
What's the quarterback market looking like next year?
They've got, I don't even know who's going to be free agents.
Drew Lock. Drew Lock's going to be our starter.
That's disgusting. I hate everything you just said.
Hey, I want to bring up that stat that you told me the other day. It was yesterday, actually.
Oh, shoot. Okay, this is a really good stat. This is awesome.
Denver Broncos.
Mhm.
Not doing good.
Mm-mm.
Do you know their record on the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I believe they are 3-7. Could be wrong. Could be 4-6, something like that.
3-7 sounds about right. They're 3-6.
3-6. Okay. They did already have their bye week.
Yeah.
That's true.
So right now, you told me that if they
This
had
is funny.
averaged 18 points a game, just 18,
Mm-hmm.
they would be
8-1.
8-1.
They would be 8-1 if they averaged only 18 points per game, which would put them bottom 10 of the league.
That that goes to show how good that defense is.
Mhm.
Still good.
Mhm.
It's been good a few years. Still good.
Mhm.
Drew Lock, when he was the starter in Denver, averaged 20.3 points a game.
They could score 2 less than they averaged with Drew Lock and be 8-1, and they're not doing it because Russell Wilson is cooking Ritz crackers and ketchup.
That is what I said.
I know. I had to say it again. 'Cause
Russell
it was
Wilson, his performance in Denver might be the biggest letdown in NFL history.
funny. I mean, I would have to examine some past years of stuff that's happened, but I mean, in recent memory for sure.
Yeah.
In the past, I would say definitely in the past 5 years of a big signing somewhere, a big free agency, a big trade, something like that. Russell Wilson is one of the biggest disappointments we've seen.
I'm trying to think about, I can think of draft busts like Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, of course. But things that were really hyped up and then completely let us down, Russell Wilson and the Broncos is one of those. I had the entire AFC West making the playoffs, and
everyone thought
right now the Raiders have 2 wins, the Broncos have 3, and the Chargers are the most inconsistent team in football. So, I'm just not looking good.
Yeah, everyone thought the Broncos really had a shot at not only making playoffs but winning that division, especially with the Chiefs losing Tyreek.
Yeah. The AFC West looked more open than it has in a while, with so much changing on the Raiders, so much changing on the Broncos, the Chargers having another year to really get under that Brandon Staley offense, and then the Chiefs losing so many weapons.
And have their defensive captain and Derwin James come back.
Yeah, and then they added J.C. Jackson, they added Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa was supposed to be back and healthy. The Chargers are kind of having that same Saints problem where they have so many injuries.
But they do have a quarterback.
They do. They have a good quarterback. What if we can get Justin Herbert?
Oh, Michael Thomas. We give them Michael Thomas.
Oh, yes. The Mike Williams, Keenan Allen combo of injuries, and we just add Michael Thomas to there. The Chargers will never have a wide receiver again. But, yeah, we can trade Michael Thomas and 8 future first-round picks for Justin Herbert. Sure. So, keeping on going on the NFL. Last episode, we picked all the games, and, we didn't do as good as...
We're still right there.
We're always very close to each other.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we just didn't pick that well in general.
Yeah.
The first few games, we nailed.
Well, not me.
Well, other than the Seattle-Tampa game, we picked Seattle. But, the Minnesota-Buffalo game, we both said Minnesota was going to win that one. Denver-Tennessee, we obviously picked Tennessee. Jacksonville-Kansas City, we picked Kansas City. Cleveland-Miami, we picked Miami. We were doing good in the early slate of games. But that middle slate of games killed us.
3 o'clock games.
Yeah.
It's funny because we picked Minnesota to win, and we thought Josh Allen wasn't playing.
Yeah. Josh Allen played, and
Allen
Minnesota
played.
still won. Minnesota's, shout out to Reese. I don't know if Reese is watching
The
right
Vikings
now. I don't think he is.
are for real.
But when he comes back and watches this, we appreciate the Vikings for you, Reese. If they wouldn't have lost to the Eagles already this season, they'd be the number 1 seed.
They'd be undefeated.
Well, that is true. Their only losses to the Eagles, who just lost their first game last night to the Commanders.
And Locke called it.
Locke did call it, which is, brings us into our favorite segment that we do, B&B's Bets of the Weekend. We had Mr. Locktober on last episode, if y'all didn't see. And, we each give our road dog like we do. So I, naturally, went with the Detroit Lions because I love my Lions. And, hey, guess what? You guys were hating on me. You were like, there's no way they're beating Chicago. Justin Fields is so good. Blah, 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 blah. Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions won. Did they win by 1 point? Yes. That is not. That doesn't matter. They weren't even supposed to win. But they won.
Give me credit. The Seahawks did not.
No, they did not.
Nor did they cover the spread.
No, they lost by 5, and the spread was at 2.5. So, fortunately, didn't hit that one. But like we just said with Lott, so Lott picked the Commanders to cover the spread of 10.5, which then got moved up to 11.5 by game time. So he got it even worse than other people might have, and they won. The Washington Commanders ended the only team who was still undefeated in the Philadelphia Eagles. And it was, it wasn't very pretty from the Eagles. Their defense was getting, they were getting dotted up and ran on all night. The key last night, if y'all didn't watch last night's Washington versus Philadelphia game, Washington had 40 minutes of time of possession. When you have 2/3 of the game, you have the ball on offense, you probably have a good chance of winning because the other team's not even getting the chance to score. And not only that, but the Eagles had terrible turnovers. Terrible turnovers. Jalen Hurts threw a pick, and then they had 2 fumbles on offense that should not have been fumbles. Dallas Goedert got his head ripped around on an egregious face mask call that did not get called. And, he fumbled, and the refs were just like, oh, sorry, we missed the face mask. I don't know what to tell you. But they fumbled on that. You
can't go back and call a penalty.
No, stuff like that's reviewable. I feel like they should be able to say, hey.
To a certain extent.
Yeah, like, if it causes a turnover. Like, in that instance, if you're like, hey, this face mask is the reason he turned the ball over, he shouldn't have turned the ball over other than that, and we missed it, that's on us. Sorry, Washington, but you don't get the ball now because we messed up. But instead, it's, hey, sorry, Philly. We know we basically just lost the game for you, but welcome to the Saints world. And then they had that other one that was a deep pass down the middle of the field. Jalen Hurts threw it to a wide open receiver, Quez Watkins. He catches it, falls down, gets back up, and after he gets back up, just as he's getting tackled from behind, the ball just flies in the air, and the Commanders pick it up. So, they had just bad turnovers, bad calls go against them. It sucked for the Eagles, but I still think they're a really good football team.
Philly's getting an introduction to what it's like to be a Louisiana sports fan.
Yeah, and that's what they get for stealing all of our players all the time. They had Malcolm Jenkins back in the day. They got Chauncey this year. They stole our first-round pick because we gave it to them to get Chris Olave. The Eagles are basically just the Saints in Philadelphia. Kind of how the
Bengals are, too.
Kind of how, the Bengals are just LSU North, and then the Yankees, the Dodgers are just Red Sox West. So, there's parallels everywhere. But, as far as road dogs went, Lott had the biggest call of them all. Shout out to Lott.
Yeah, the nuts on him to call that on
good for him, man.
Live internet.
For him to be adamant that the Commanders could beat the Eagles. Crazy. And then he hit.
Yeah.
We also had college football parlays. Yours and Lott's both hit. You had some money lines of some teams that were obviously going to win, and
like 6 teams.
That's the whole thing. Is it hit? Doesn't matter how obvious it was. You get money from it. Lott's hit too. Mine was 0.5 points away from hitting. I had the LSU spread at -3.5. They won by 3. So if that would have hit, I would have made a little bit of money because my Ole Miss leg and my TCU leg both hit. But
maybe football. So the guy I was talking about earlier, my shift lead, he said to me, we were watching football one night at work, and he said to me, it should be a 1 point when they're doing the kickoff and the ball goes through the uprights.
Oh, that would be fun. Games would end in a lot weirder scores, but that would be fun.
And that would
Kinda
also
like
help
that.
you maybe cover your spread.
Cover that half a point spread. Yeah, that would be wonderful, huh? Yeah, and then we're going to go ahead and give you our road dogs before we get into the last little bit of betting that we're going to talk about. So early road dogs this week.
Very early.
Because typically we would do that on the second episode, but we're trying to figure out what that second episode is going to look like this week. You'll know more about that. We'll make sure to post it on Facebook and Twitter, so make sure to give us a follow and a like on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, _dome pod. That's how you'll find out about when our second episode is going to be this week. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and do the road dogs now for the NFL slate this upcoming weekend. I'll start us off. Jets at Patriots. Jets are 3.5-point dogs. I like the Jets. I mean, they're hot. They've beaten teams they're not supposed to beat, like the Bills a couple weeks ago. They've beaten the Packers. They look like a team that's playing kind of like LSU. They look like a team that's playing for each other. They look like a team that's having fun. And Robert Saleh has kind of proven himself in the NFL level. So give me the Jets. Even if they don't win, I think they can definitely cover 3.5 points.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, I really think they can straight up win this game. They've been playing great. Patriots kind of haven't.
I haven't seen much from the Patriots.
Yeah, they've been hit or miss. They're either winning by 30 points, shutting out a team, or they're blowing it in the end of the game.
Yeah.
I think the shinier Robert Saleh's head gets, the better they play.
Hey, in that case, he just needs to keep a buffer on the sideline and just at halftime. But yeah, no, the Jets are looking good. I'm happy for the Jets, man. Why not? They're kind of like last year's Bengals. A team that's not supposed to be doing good, and they are, and people are people are loving them for it.
I saw a tweet earlier, and it had a stat on it. AFC and NFC, all of the teams in the East are in line to make the playoffs.
In both. That's
conferences.
funny. That's crazy. And
the Commanders are the only one that are iffy. They're 0.5 games back.
Yeah. Well, they've been winning some games recently for
They
sure.
just beat the Eagles.
Yeah. So I mean, they could pick it up. Could be hot. Which is crazy because I predicted that we would in the NFL we would see the first time ever that an entire division made the playoffs, but I was wrong about the division. So hey, I deserve half a point if that comes true. Me and my half points.
Yeah.
Shout out LSU.
They're never going in your favor.
Nope. But yeah, who's your road dog this week?
My road dog didn't hit last week. Seattle kind of didn't play like Seattle. And it was weird.
No.
It was a weird game to watch.
And they were in Germany too,
Yeah,
international
Germany,
stuff.
Very early game. Tom Brady went out for a pass. Leonard Fournette got picked off.
Yep. Shout out Kiaz.
And then Tom Brady got flagged for tripping Tariq Woolen, who I picked for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Got another pick to his resume.
Looking good.
Looking good for sure.
So for this week, I'm going to go back to another Old Faithful I had when I picked them a few weeks ago when they were 12.5-point underdogs and took the Chiefs into overtime. I have the Tennessee Titans going to Green Bay to play the Packers at +3 for -105.
Yeah, the Packers coming off a big win. They snapped a 5-game losing streak this past weekend when they played the Cowboys. Scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to come back and win that game after being down 14. So, the Packers are hot, Don't let the Packers get hot because that's a team that has all the talent in the world. They just for some reason, they haven't been clicking. So if they start clicking, they could be really good. But the Titans are on a roll right now. So I definitely don't mind that pick. The Titans, even when they lose games, they look good. Like they brought the Chiefs into overtime. And I think there's something like 6-3 on the year. So they're definitely pretty good.
When you have Derrick Henry.
Yeah. When you have Derrick Henry, it definitely gives you a better chance to win the game.
You're never out of the game when you have Derrick Henry.
And their defense has been playing a lot better, too, than people expected.
Yeah.
Kind of expected to be like one of those middle to bottom tiers, and they've been playing pretty well.
Yeah, because we've seen historically pretty good, eras of Tennessee defense. and nobody really thought this one would be able to keep up, and they are. They got really young players, and then trying to think, they got Christian Fulton
Out of LSU.
out of LSU, who's been playing great.
Yeah, he's their cornerback one now, and he wasn't even the cornerback one at LSU. So good for him.
And then we've seen some really great players come from Tennessee, and no one really thought Tennessee would have one of those great defenses this year. And it's turning out that they are up there for defense.
Yeah.
Holding teams to little. Even though their offense hasn't really been going how they wanted it to. I mean, they didn't really...
Yeah, Tannehill's gotten hurt. He hasn't played
hurt.
that well. Malik Willis. But when Malik Willis came in, they basically ran the ball every play. They went that entire Chiefs game without completing a ball to their receivers, until the fourth quarter or even overtime, one of the two.
That's great. That just shows you how good Derrick Henry is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. And they have a good backup running back in Dontrell Hilliard as well. So, but yeah, that game's on Thursday. So I don't think we'll be having an episode before then. We won't be able to talk about it. So
I'll be working nights Wednesday and Thursday.
So we kind of talked about it a little bit. Tennessee's on a roll. Green Bay's starting to get hot after just beating the Cowboys. What do you see coming out of that Thursday night game, and who do you think ultimately takes it? I know Tennessee's your road dog, but do you think they can win the game as well?
Honestly, it depends. For me, it depends on what Green Bay defense shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I know their offense has it. I know Tennessee's offense hasn't been all that. So if Green Bay's defense can hold Tennessee's offense, I mean, we know that Green Bay defense can be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of if they come out Thursday and play great.
Yeah, I mean, you're really right on the point with Green Bay's defense. They've been so inconsistent. Like, they've been the reason they've been in games so late, and they've also been the reason they lose games. So it really does depend which Green. That's a great point. It really does matter which Green Bay defense we see on Thursday night. If we see the one we saw early in the Cowboys game, they're not winning that game. But if they pick it up like they did late in the Cowboys game, they've got a shot.
Yeah, and it brings me back to earlier this season when Green Bay played Minnesota. Me, you, and Reese were watching the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Reese was playing against... You and Reese were playing against Justin Jefferson. And you were...
I remember. Trust me.
Y'all really needed Justin Jefferson to get locked up. And for a whole drive, basically, the only person who was covering him, or who was even close...
Quay Walker.
Was Quay Walker, the linebacker, rookie linebacker.
Rookie linebacker out of Georgia.
Not a cornerback like Jair Alexander.
One of the best corners in the league.
It's just weird sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, the NFL is weird. We've seen some crazy stuff this season, but I think as far as Thursday goes, I think we've seen more consistency out of the Tennessee team. I think they're a lower risk, low reward team as opposed to the Packers, where you could see the Packers hang like 40 on you, and you're like, yeah, well, it's Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. What do you expect? But you could also see them only score 10 and be like, well, nothing's clicking type thing. Whereas the Titans, you expect them to score like 14 to 20 every game.
200 rush yards.
Yep. I mean, it's what the Titans do. And I think this is two of the best head coaches in the NFL between Mike Vrabel and Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur, kind of the younger, offensive-minded guy, very smart, trying to figure out, kind of like that Kyle Shanahan offense, Sean McVay.
Yeah.
One of those type of guys where Mike Vrabel's just a football guy.
Yeah, like he's going to do push-ups if he does something wrong.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel lives, breathes, and dies in football. So it's two completely different-minded coaches, but two very, very good coaches. Mike Vrabel won Coach of the Year last year. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup to watch. Personally, I'm going to go with your road dog and take it a step further and say Tennessee is going to win this game on Thursday.
Nice.
I'm thinking, off the dome. Wink, wink. Off the dome. Score prediction, something like 23-17.
23-17, favor of the Titans.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, I could definitely see something like that happen, especially with these primetime games we've been seeing, very low scoring.
Always low scoring. Except for the Saints-Cardinals game when we allowed like 800 points.
I'm going to go Titans win.
Okay.
21-14 by a touchdown.
Yeah, makes sense to me. So, that kind of covers our football. Last thing we want to talk about before we go on off the air. Want to thank everybody for watching. Really appreciate you. You can see what shirt I'm wearing right now. New Orleans Pelicans. We just went to the game on Saturday.
Good game.
Very good game. Super fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Kept you enticed the entire time.
Yeah, I think we stood up like all the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean at least half the fourth quarter. We were standing up not because like we couldn't see, but because we were that into the game because of where it was. I mean, we were
because the Pelicans almost blew a 19-point
lead.
Yeah,
in the first half we're up by 19. We're feeling good. At the end of the third quarter, we're tied or like down by 1 or something. And then early in the fourth quarter, the Rockets keep it going, and they get up by like 7 to 9 points, and you're like, man, we're fully healthy. Like, there's no reason we're losing this game right now. And then my guy, top 2 Pelican in my one of my favorite players on the team, probably my second favorite player on the team, only behind Tramer. Jose Alvarado.
He got hot.
Fourth quarter, Jose is like Hoodie Mello at this point. I mean, like 2 steals, 8 points, just making people angry, causing offensive. Like he caused 2 offensive fouls. He caused the travel. He had 2 of his little Grand Theft Alvarado pickups. He had a 3-pointer. He was making fadeaways. He made a layup, a floater. I mean, like he was just everywhere in the fourth quarter. And I think it was a great move from Willie Green to have that type of energy closing out a game.
Yeah, I mean, when he does anything late in a game, the whole crowd gets into it. Like, and it could just be as simple as, hitting a 3-pointer, causing a foul.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
People love him.
The crowd hyped.
And he wants it from the crowd.
Yeah.
I think that's what New Orleans loves so much about him is he loves us back.
Yeah.
I mean, we started the Jose chant like 3 times. Because he's electrifying to watch sometimes.
Yeah, we saw him get ejected, and it was great.
Oh.
So Pelicans, we had regained our lead. We got confident. There was only like 13 or so seconds left. He had just made a 3. Houston was inbounding the ball, and he stole it. With only 13 seconds left, we were up by like 8 points. Like there's no...
Yeah, B.I. had just had a huge posterizer slam to basically ice the game. Put us up by 3 scores. So, I mean, there's no way Houston's going to come back. They're going to dribble the ball out.
Well, he did his thing, and he stole the ball. I forgot who it was.
It was KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr.
Did not like it.
Oh, no, he was mad.
He went after and tried to tackle Jose. And the ref called a foul, and then they kind of it started
kept
getting
arguing,
scrappy.
Yep.
Eventually, both of them got ejected, and as he's walking away, he's just
pumping up the crowd.
We're screaming.
We're screaming for Jose. We're screaming at Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, we were the atmosphere in there for a Saturday night,
a very early season game against the Rockets.
Saturday night within the first month of the season against a team that you're not expecting to be good.
They were like 2-10,
and we were buzzing.
Yeah, anytime Eric Gordon had the basketball, the entire stadium
crap out of him.
Was just booing.
Yeah, I mean because his bald round head. Ain't nobody want him in New Orleans. But yeah, I mean that game was so. Pels games are so fun. If y'all haven't been to a Pels game this season, you have to go to one there.
Definitely check it out.
The atmosphere is absolutely amazing, and there's a lot more people there than you would think. Even for we went to a Thursday night game last week as well, and there was more people there than you would think for a Thursday night game in New Orleans at 7 p.m., and there's still people packing the arena. I mean, it's a fun team.
Yeah.
You've got to check it out. If you haven't been to a Pelicans game, definitely go to one. I know we've got to make at least a couple more before the end of the year.
I'm definitely going to try and sit courtside for one.
Oh, that's so much money. We can figure it out though. But yeah, speaking about the Pelicans, they're actually playing right now. Score's tied, 85-85. They're taking on division rival Memphis Grizzlies. Zion is unfortunately out tonight, so us keeping it this close and us being tied right now is kind of impressive to me. Looks like, Ja Morant's doing his thing against us. He's got 31 points. But Brandon Ingram's keeping us in there. He's 2 for 2 from the 3-point line, 6 field goals, 17 points. Let's check on C.J. McCollum because recently C.J. McCollum has been bad.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't been able to score, and that's why he's here, is to score points. He's been in a slump, and it looks like he's off of it tonight.
Oh.
C.J. McCollum has 22 points. He is 6 for 9 from the three-point line, 8 for 15 overall.
Excellent.
So I am so glad that I decided to look at where C.J. is at, because he has been bad these past, and he has admitted it. Like, he said it on a press conference. He was like, no, like, I've been bad. He was like, I've been the worst player in this team, and that's completely unacceptable. I just got paid. I'm supposed to be good, and I'm not. But I promise you I'm going to level it out. He's starting tonight. So, yeah, Pels are currently down 86-85. Grizzlies just made a free throw. So they're keeping it close, even without Zion. That'll be a fun game to keep up with. Before the game, I did make a little bit of a parlay. Not even for the show, just for my own doing. The parlay was the John B.I. special.
Oh, how's it looking?
So far it's looking pretty good, because I needed both of them to score 25. Right now, Brandon Ingram has 17 in the third quarter, so it's possible.
Yeah.
John Morant already has 31, so he's surpassed it. I need both of them to make 2 threes. They've both already done that. And then I needed both of them to have 4 assists. As of right now, John Morant has his 4 assists, and Brandon Ingram has 2. So as long as Brandon Ingram score 8 points and get 2 assists in the last quarter and a half, I should be good, which I think is very possible. But if not, it was one of the no-sweat bets. It's the only reason I even made a bet tonight, is because you get a free bet back.
What did you get the odds on that at?
Those were at plus 711.
Pretty good.
712, somewhere up in there, because I know it was a $71 and something cent payback. So the odds were pretty good on that one. But another point about the Pelicans game tonight, even though halftime already passed, friend of the studio, Flow Tribe, was playing at halftime tonight. So that's a really cool opportunity for people who are really, really good friends of the studio and have some really good stuff going on, to be able to have that opportunity in New Orleans and show off their talents at halftime. So that's awesome, man. We love to see that.
Definitely.
And that'll basically wrap us up for tonight.
Yeah, we got one more friend of the pod that we mentioned earlier, but I'd like to touch on it again. Gage Gill, of course, fighting in Biloxi this Saturday. I think he still has a few tickets left.
Ooh.
If you want to go, hit him up, social media.
Yep.
Gage Gill, type it in, you'll find him.
Gage Gill on Facebook. Like I said, you'll see him. He's got his profile picture on there. It's him, after a fight. That's how I've been keeping up with him recently. I like to look at a lot of the fighting stuff that's going on. He has some really good opinions about like UFC type stuff as well on like Instagram. So
yeah, from what conversations I've had with him, he's actually really good at betting on UFC, which we know our friend Reese is not.
No, he did very bad because he bet on it at the Pelicans game, and it was blown by after the first fight. So hopefully after Gage's fight, we'll be able to we'll get him back on here and he can talk about it.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be 3-0.
Yep.
Instead of 2-0. Get him back on, talk about it. Give us a little, it's not often you can talk to athletes like this after a match and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of a look forward as to where we'll be in the next coming weeks. Hopefully we can have Gage on here and talk about his fight.
We might be able to get Jared Butler now that he's not with the team.
Oh, we'll have to figure that one out.
Talk to Reese. Reese is really good friends with him. We both went to high school with him.
Mm-hmm.
I played basketball with him. Reese played football with him.
I did not play anything with him.
But I know Reese has, for the most part, kept in touch with him, especially through the college days. We'd always send him pictures and stuff saying, like, hey, we're watching him, stuff like that to keep up with him. And he made a big time. He did get cut, but he got a lot of money to get cut, $1.5 million from the Jazz.
Yeah.
Hopefully a team will pick him up soon.
Yeah, and he's super talented too, so he'll find his way for sure.
He cut up in the G League. He was having I think he was averaging like 26 points a game.
Yeah, he's a great player. That's why his jersey's retired at Riverside. Which shout out to Riverside. They're going into the playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs.
They got a bye week. Mm-hmm. They have their second round playoff game on Friday. So, really looking forward to that. That's where we both came from. We still keep up with them as much as we can. So shout out to that. Shout out to Riverside football team. They did a lot better than they were expected to.
Yeah.
So
especially Mr. Bill Davis.
Oh, Elijah Davis, Bill. Great athlete. And he's a good guy too.
Yeah.
I talk to him as much as I can. Great character, funny dude. but he's got his head on straight. So good for him. But like I said, it's fun to talk about all this local type stuff too. Just right down the road at Riverside, talking about Flow Tribe playing at halftime, talking about Gage Gill fighting in Biloxi. I mean, it's super cool to see all this local talent be able to showcase themselves on a national stage.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for the Off the Dome Sports Podcast tonight. We talked about the Pels, talked about the Saints, talked about LSU, talked about some national stuff, covered some betting.
One more thing. Comments just popped up.
What's up?
For the Riverside game, playoff game Friday night, the one and only Thug Nasty will be on the PA.
Yes, indeed.
During the game.
Make sure to check out Thug Nasty. Make sure to, if you're in the reserve area, go check out that Riverside game. Whether you're invested in the team or not, they're a fun team to watch. And you can't beat a high school football game. I mean, the atmosphere at a high school football game is phenomenal. So make sure to go check out the football game. Make sure to check out Thug Nasty on the PA. You're going to hear him in his all of his good little ad reads, all of his great commentary on the game whenever somebody's taken off for a touchdown. So he's great doing the PA. Make sure to go check him out. We had some fun tonight.
Oh yeah, always.
Talked about some good stuff. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, Off the Dome Sports Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, _Dome Pod, for updates on when we'll be doing our next episode, as well as some scheduling stuff in the future. We love coming on here and doing this. Whether we have one person watching or 100, it doesn't matter to us. We just really enjoy this. It's our de-stress for the week. It's how we have fun, and we really hope everybody enjoys it too. Make sure to go like our Facebook page, comment on any post you want, comment on the YouTube, leave live comments when we're doing this. We'd love to have feedback. So make sure to stay tuned for some updates. We'll definitely be updating y'all on scheduling stuff as well as some other opportunities. So until next time, thank you. We love you. See you then.